every Thursday fortnightly.
For news, views, reviews and more.
Join host Valerie Kelso and guests from 6:30 p.m. Thursdays fortnightly.
Don't Believe the Hype Show. Don't Believe the Hype.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Don't Believe the Hype Show. I'm Valerie Kelso, the founder and CEO of the show, and tonight I have got Lavinia Masters in our studio. This show is going to be very special. The next couple shows are going to be special because you already know that we are in the month of domestic violence and cancer awareness. And so I want to highlight some of the things that are going on, not the typical cancer survivors sharing their story or the domestic violence person sharing their story. We need to know about other things because many of you don't understand and realize that a lot of women who are in marriages, who are in relationships, are being raped every single day. Lavinia Masters has got a story that she's going to be sharing with each and every one of you out there in the community. But before we get to Lavinia's story, I would like to thank everybody who has been tuning in week after week and listening to our show. It is so appreciated. Please share with you and like with your family and friends because these shows are not easy to run, and I do take time out of my busy schedule to try and make sure that I let you all know what is going on in our community, that what is important. And I would like to thank PLT Massage and Wellness for sponsoring this show week after week. And also Worldwide Entertainment TV, because without these sponsors, I don't know where we would be. I would also like to thank Jamise for coming in every fortnight to make sure these shows are aired on time. Sometimes, you know me, I'm going to just keep it real, because that's what I do. And it's all about keeping things real. That is why it is called Don't Believe the Hype. Because not everything that you see in the world and in the community is correct. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to thank Lavinia Masters for coming into our studio. And she's going to tell you a little bit about herself and the importance of why she's doing what she's doing for our community. Hi, Miss Lavinia.
Hi, Valerie. Thank you for having me here tonight. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence and to share with you, not just in your Don't Believe the Hype, but in your PLT massage field and just sisterhood, basically, to share with you. And I'm excited as always to come and to share my story, share my purpose, why I'm here. I do the things that I do. And like she said, I am Lavinia Masters. I am I don't know, what am I? I am an advocate. I am a consultant. I'm a coach. I'm a grandmother. I'm a wife. I serve on, this board for victims of sexual violence. I serve with my own organization. I do so much, but to me, how I actually got here is that I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and a heinous rape at the age of 13 years old. And that alone speaks volumes to me. Because you don't see where many survivors of something so heinous come forward and find purpose beyond that pain and try to give back to communities and other survivors to give them the opportunity of hope and letting them know that they can breathe again, they can live again after something that happened so heinous to them. So it's always a pleasure to be here and to share with you.
So let me ask you a question. You said something about survivors.
Yes.
Why is it that most women, or men, because men do get sexually assaulted also, why do they not report it?
Oh wow, that's like a whole, subject matter within itself. Why don't we report the things that happen to us? For one, when we talk about sexual violence, we talk about rape, it's like a taboo. It's something we don't talk about culturally, and I know being African American, some of the things that happen in our homes, our mothers and our fathers would teach us what happens in this home stays in this home, which is the worst thing that you could ever teach a child to do that's been a victim of any form of sexual trauma. I don't know why it's a big secret. I don't know if we are speaking as an African American woman, if it's something that you believe that's supposed to happen to us. going back to chattel slavery, how we were raped, and pretty much how our families were raped, how our men, what would they call them? Was it when they bucked them, or whatever that word was they used to break them down, the men, by sodomizing them, basically. So it's like the culture, how it was formed, a lot of it, and not just African American, even in different, like Indian and different areas. It's just how they view rape and why we don't report. And then you get into the justice system part of it, where when you report, you have the delays, you have the not believing that it happened, or, oh, that's your husband, why would you say that, or I was drinking, and so, you make the victim now the villain in the entire process. So it's it's a plethora of reasons why we don't report, and we have to change that mindset, because no one, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter if it's a cultural issue, no matter if it's a transgender, or if it's a homosexual, or if it's an Indian woman, if it's someone that's drunk, incapacitated, high, homeless, whatever the reason, no one deserves to be sexually assaulted or raped. No, absolutely no reason.
See, what I found out that, like, a lot of times a mother might need that money, and that uncle might come into the home.
Yes.
And he's not really an uncle.
Yes.
But at the same time, she needs the money, so rather than let her child, basically, it's prostitution.
That's what it is.
And sex trafficking. It might not be because that child is out and you can't see that child on the street, but that child is still being sex trafficked.
Yes.
A lot of times, a lot of our parents will think, oh well, we need the money for gas, we need the money for food, we need the money for such and such. And so they don't mind that older man, because it's never usually somebody of that child's age, it's always somebody older that will do this, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was so lucky that my dad did not allow none of his men's friends to come into the house. He had 8 daughters, and he did not allow no man to come into the house.
That's awesome.
When he was not there.
That's awesome.
That was one thing, no way that was going to happen.
Yes, yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So I thank my parents for that.
Yeah.
So, and so there's been a lot of talks recently about the backlog of the. So we know that you do the rape kids.
Yes.
So what made you decide that you wanted to do the rape kids?
What made me decide? Well, first of all, like I said, I am a survivor of childhood sexual assault and rape. I was raped at 13 years old. Someone broke into our home in the West Dallas area and violently raped me at knife point. After this horrendous, traumatic, devastating experience at 13 years old, that was enough. That was enough to say, just put me in a grave somewhere. My life is over. But to add injury to insult, I later learned over 20-something years that nothing, absolutely nothing was done with my evidence. And that's what a rape kit is. It's the evidence. It's when they take that victim to the hospital and they poke and probe them, try to look for semen, look for hairs, for saliva, any kind of fibers, any kind of evidence on that victim to tie them to the perpetrator. And to do this in the 80s, because I was raped in 1985, it was a very strenuous thing to go through. I'm sure it still is today, but I've heard they cut the time down, because I think at the time it was like 6 hours, maybe 8, when I went through my whole entire sane sexual assault nurse examiner exam that night. And when I tell you, they picked me, probed me places, stuck me with needles. It was devastating to go through that. And to later learn, once I wanted to find out whatever happened to my kid. I'm married, I got a family, I've been through a healing process. I'm wanting to give back to my community, help other victims. And I learned that my kid was sitting on a shelf. Yeah, I was devastated. That was very devastating. And so now here, that's my rape kit, that's my evidence. That's Lavinia Masters sitting quietly on the shelf in UT Southwestern with many other survivors who thought that their evidence was being processed, only to learn that in the state of Texas it was about 20,000 rape kits on the shelf. nationwide, it was about 500,000 as far as evidence of victims sitting on shelves. And so that is the rape kit, that is the backlog, and that's what got me involved in this. I'm like, this is not going to happen any longer on my watch. We're no longer going to allow victims to go through something so heinous as rape, and then to take them through the processes of getting the evidence and then placing it on shelves and disregarding it all over again.
So do you think it was because they did not believe that you was raped, or these women are just saying they were raped and they didn't want to do anything about the rape kit, or was it just something that, oh, when another woman's saying that they're raped, just because you're talking about 20, what did you say, 20,000? That's a lot of rape.
Yes, that's a lot in the state of Texas. And I'm going to tell you something. Everything you just said could be one of the reasons why they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Because I make no excuses for it. Even though I work with law enforcement, I work now in the justice system, I still find no excuses. It is unacceptable to have rape kits sitting on the shelves. I don't care if you don't believe us. And in my experience alone, the officers that questioned me that night, they asked me 3 questions that still burn deep in my mind. They asked me, am I sure it wasn't my boyfriend? Are you sure you didn't let him in the window? And are you sure you're not having sex and don't want your mother to find out? The audacity to ask a 13-year-old child with a mark on her neck because the guy raped me at knife point, bloody, bruised, discombobulated, frantic, out of my mind, and this is what you asked me. Thank God at 13 I really couldn't process that then. I really didn't feel the anger of those questionings until I got older. So you planted that seed of not believing me, of that mindset, I must have done something wrong. I am guilty of a crime,
And maybe because also they're probably thinking, well, you didn't scream out. Why did you shout out? Why didn't you do the normal things? You know,
I believe that. And your body, you freeze up. You're in fear. You have a knife to your throat. This guy is telling you he's going to kill you. The kids on the floor. And they asked me, they said, so you mean none of the kids? People still ask me today, so none of your siblings woke up on the floor? No. And I try to say that in a nice way. And I want to say, don't ask me that. I couldn't control anything that happened that night. But this is what you project on victims or that go through these things when you ask these asinine questions like that. You know, so your mom didn't hear you upstairs. You couldn't scream. No, if that's the case, I would have just took the knife and I would have put it in his throat and killed him. How about that? But that you can't do that. You know, but these are the things that they ask you, and these are the things that cause victims to basically clam up, crawl back into their corner, beat themselves up, blame themselves for the things that happened to them. We're already, like I said, we already have that trauma brain. We're in shock. You're in total shock. I'm sleeping that night. I went to bed with my family. I had peace that night. We were watching TV. The TV went off with the fuzz, and it was peaceful. I didn't say, okay, Leroy, come through my window. John, come through the window now and violate me, threaten my life. I don't know if I'm going to live to see tomorrow if you put the knife the wrong way in my throat. Do that for me. How about that? And I know I'm being sarcastic. It sounds like, how could she say that? But this is how you sound to us, society, when you ask us those questions. That's what I was about to ask you. So, like, about society and children. Yes.
Do you think anything has changed from when you was raped over 20 odd years ago to what it is now?
I believe it's trying to take a shift, but I believe there's still a lot of subtlety of how they do things. It's not as blatant, because to me it was blatant disrespect. It was blatant disregard for victims of sexual violence. Now it's like, okay, the culture has changed. The rape culture has changed. Now we can't say this, we can't say that. So let's do it in a nice way. Let's be subtle in our sins, but we still see you, because your sins will find you out. We still see some of the blatant disregard, some of the it's like racism, and we don't like to talk about racism.
That's right.
You know, and it's just the God honest truth. I can't help but be honest and transparent when I talk about these things, because it disturbs me that still in 2023 that we're facing the issues of backlog rape kits, of victims being placed on shelves, of victims being not believed, of victims not getting the justice that they deserve, of unanswered questions, and you're making them the suspect in the end after everything happens. So it disturbs you sometimes that you still have to sit here and you fought for over 20-something years to make a difference, make a change, and you see the change, you appreciate that, you're not complaining. But I can't allow the things that remain the same or the things that are subtle to be ignored, because if not, we'll be back to 20,000, if not more, rape kits in the state of Texas. We'll be back to 500,000, if not more, in our nation.
So you're talking about when you found out that, when did you find out that there was 20,000 rape kits sitting
on the shelf? I found out in 2005, I believe. It was 2004, I think it was the Debbie Smith Act, is when we initiated the whole thing, as far as knowing that the Dallas Police Department now had access to funds federally to go for the rape kits, to open the cold cases is what they were doing. And then so when I reached out to the Dallas Police Department, I spoke with Sergeant Welch at the time, who's now retired, and we found out that, Lavinia, among your evidence was over 20,000. About 20,000 in the state of Texas.
Has it increased?
No, it has decreased. Thank God it has decreased. But if we don't persevere and have the mindset that we have now, those that are fighting to end this backlog, I believe it can go back up. It's not a quick fix thing, because rapists, pedophiles, narcissists, yes, all that behavior has not stopped, and it's not stopping. And it's getting worse.
That's right.
They're snatching women off the streets, broad daylight, in their cars, coming out the stores, raping them, taking their life. It doesn't stop.
And most of the worst thing about it, some of these people who are molesting children,
yes,
are top people, and they haven't got no criminal background, yes, so someone's never going to know, because it could be somebody's dad,
yes,
who could be a judge, it could be a
yes,
police officer,
yes,
it could be a doctor, because people automatically think, oh, it's got to be that, no offense, that black man down the road with a big nose, big lips, big ears. He's the one who's raping all the children that's going on, but realistically, it's not. And we need to stop stereotyping people to say these are the people who are doing the rape and whatever, when in today's society is shifted from here to up here, and that's what people are not realizing. So I know that they made a law after your name,
yes,
and you need to share, you need to look in that camera, you need to tell the people why are you made the first, as a first African Caribbean woman to get a law. Tell them about it, because that's your...
Okay. The Lavinia Masters Act is a law that went into effect in 2019 in the state of Texas. The Lavinia Masters Act was given as an honor in my namesake because of the work that I did over the years, starting in 2004 as far as fighting the rape kit backlog. I was not a known name back then, but I was in the trenches. There were people that knew of me, but I wasn't doing it for fame. I wasn't doing it for notoriety. I was doing it because I was told that I had missed 2 statute of limitations. 2000, and it was 5 years after my initial rape, and then they changed the laws in the interim, and it was 10 years after my 18th birthday. I had missed both statutes. I made up in my mind, because I was on a path of helping others heal after sexual violence, we have to address the entire issue with the rape kit backlog. So I wrote the President of the United States, I wrote the Governor at the time, the Chief of Police of Dallas. I was just reaching out. I was going to legislators in my area. I was just reaching out. I'm like, do you guys know this is an issue? Nobody's talking about this. Nobody is raising awareness about this. And in my state, where I'm born, where I'm bred in Texas, here I am, and nobody's helping us. Nobody cares about us. Nationwide, about 500,000 people, victims, are sitting here with no answers. And the other sad part about that is that you later learn that some numbers were not a part of the inclusion because they said the victim already knew the perpetrator. And which is unfair, because just because I knew that I had an incident on the Prairie View campus with a young man that was a senior, all this and that, that assaulted me, and I didn't report it because of what I had been through as a 13-year-old. But the whole thing was, he was well known, and he would have been put in a pot where she knew him. She's a known person, but just because I knew him doesn't mean that he didn't violate other young women, or he didn't creep out in the middle of the night and just randomly rape someone else. So his evidence would have been just as important as somebody that I didn't know, because I did know him, but I didn't make that step because of what I had been through as a victim and not having answers. And this is what happens a lot. This is why so many perpetrators get, they walk free. They're on the streets, and we think, like you said, they got the mask and they look burly, and we stereotype them. And they can be our fathers, our brothers, our cousins. They can be us, looking like us.
And another thing I wanted to say as well, I met a young lady a few years back. She was raped at college, because there's a lot of college rape that goes on, because our children tend to want to drink, they're away from their parents. You need to teach your child, just because they are at college, be mindful of the company that they're keeping. Be mindful of what they're drinking. When they put their cup down, make sure that it is sealed. Make sure that nobody cannot get into their cup and drop a pill, because just because you might be raped and you didn't consent to it, maybe just because you was drinking and you had a pill slipped at the bottom of your cup, a lot of children are being raped at school. This young lady, was raped by 3 college guys, never got into trouble for it, because at the end of the day, it was about drinking and drugs. You understand what I'm saying? She didn't ask for this, but yet this is what happened to her. So and it was devastating when I met this young lady, because I had the opportunity of mentoring her through the Purple Light Touch Foundation. And I had another young girl who was, luckily, she was brave enough to call her parents and tell them, come and get me, before she went for a sleepover. She was in the house, the guy was ready to do whatever, but she woke up, called her parents, they came, they believed her. The guy got into trouble. So people might just think, oh well, rape is just one way. It isn't. And even I know another lady whose husband literally raped her, and he says, well, because he was in the church, it was his right to rape his wife.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? He did spend some time in prison for the incident, but that's a lot of women are being raped in the church, because if they marry someone and they always say, you've got to submit, women submit themselves to the men. But at the same time, the Bible also says, man, you've got to be good to your wife like how you want me to treat you. They forget that part and only have the submit part. And that's what I see a lot of what's going on. You know what I mean? So going back to your story, do you find that a lot more African Caribbean or minority are being raped and are being ignored, or is it a 50-50?
I think it honestly still runs high for African American and minorities that are being sexually assaulted and basically disregarded. Another issue that I found that's a big thing is how, I can't think of the word right now, but basically how they adult the young people are grown. It's a phrase they use, womanize, I think, the young girls, because they say black girls are fast, or we had to be doing something, or we had to be provocative, or we wanted it, and things like, and because they feel that, and almost like it's our fault is what you're basically saying, because our culture may be more, it's like Filipinos. I've had a Filipino sister-in-law, and I remember how she was and how she dressed and how she did things, and it was her culture, it was how she was raised. And so it was like, you can't be raped because you're out there walking outside with Daisy Dukes on. If I want to wear Daisy Dukes, I can wear Daisy Dukes. Yes, we promote being healthy, being safe, being aware, but it still doesn't give people a right to violate you. But this is what happens with African Americans and minorities, is what I see is how you look at us and you basically say, we asked for it. We asked for it. this because how we dress, how we do. We put our little girls in lipstick, and we got our hair in the wrong way, or we let her out in a bathing suit, or we let her come and dance in front of the grown-ups when they come over to the house and shaking her booty and stuff like that. And I'm not saying all of it is right. Some stuff I wouldn't permit, you know, but some parents are not that aware, and that's why we're trying to make you aware, because this is how society will look at us. Like, you put your child in that position for that to happen to them, so you want us to help you now, you know, and that's what you see. You may not look at it that way, you know, but that's what we hear when you do that to us. Like, it's our fault. Like,
like Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
When
Thank
she
you.
was
Thank you.
raped at an early
Thank you.
age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And her dad would say to her, come and sit down. Come. And she's not thinking anything of it, because it's daddy's friend. And how do you go and tell your parents that your uncle just touched you?
It's going to be very difficult. Let me tell you something. We've all been children. We didn't process, like I said, I was raped at 13. I really didn't process a lot of that trauma until I got older, because I didn't understand how it was really affecting me and what was really done to me. I know it was tormenting. I have been through childhood sexual abuse, and I really didn't process that. Our whole thinking, way of thinking, how we look at things. When you put us in the presence of an adult, especially another parent, we know that you're supposed to love me. I'm supposed to trust you. Anything you say to me, because you're my mother, you're my guardian, you're my father, I'm going to believe that. You would do me no harm. And if you're doing harm, I don't think it's harm. You know why? Because you love me. You are my definition. You are what God has given me, shown me. You're supposed to show me what love is. So if love is allowing somebody to come in and violate me, or you even violate me, or you're touching me the wrong way, well then, okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. I feel uncomfortable. It may be painful to me, but why would my mom do this? Why would my dad do this to me? And then if uncle is doing something, I may be confused, but still, how do I tell mama, maybe this isn't right what Uncle Leroy is doing to me? So we have to understand that with children and stop saying, why you didn't tell anybody? You know, why would you even say that way to your child? Why don't holler at them? You don't make them nervous. They're already confused. And you wonder why it takes so long, because that trauma is building. But we wonder why it takes so long for us to finally start expressing it or showing it. And they may be acting out of school, and you say, oh, she just wants attention. Oh, she just makes up lies. You're teaching them how to lie. That's especially if you know what's happening, and you don't tell them. You've
already told them that
you teach them not only lying, you teach them how to manipulate. You're teaching them a lot, and then you get mad at them. Don't lie to me. Don't do this. Don't. But you're the master teacher. This was your job. This is what God assigned you when you took on the responsibility of being a parent or a guardian. And now you've trained them. The Bible says train them up in the way they should go. The Bible meant the right way, but you trained them your way. So now this is how they're coming up. And this is what's happening.
And the abuse is a cycle.
Yes, it's a vicious cycle.
Just because, you know,
it's a vicious cycle.
Your daughter, granddaughter, and it just keeps going down. Because even for myself, because I was in a domestic violence, then my daughter ended up with something. You know what I mean? What is the chance that my granddaughter's not going to walk down that road?
The same path.
And even going back to the abuse, I have a lot of clients who will come through here, and the body is so riddled with trauma. And I will ask some questions, and all of them later on, they will turn around and says, well, such and such happened to me. I had a troubled childhood. And it doesn't even matter what color, skin color you are. It doesn't, because the majority of 90% of my clients are not my skin color. And yet, if you were to hear the stories that they tell me, but they come back week after week, month after month, because they know that their trauma is not skin. It's embedded deep into their body. And so when they come in with that sciatica pain, when they come in with a certain pain, you will hear them cry out, but at the same time, it's like a cry of relief. Am I really going to get rid of this? Am I really going to get rid of this hurt that I've been carrying for so long? You know what I mean? And so that's one reason why I stay very, very busy, because of what what goes on in here. It's not you coming and getting a massage.
It's releasing that trauma.
And it's deep.
It's real deep.
And what I find is that when a woman usually has a lot of weight on, it's because of something that's deep. And so imagine all that weight going in, that weight having to get through. So that weight is weighing her down. You see what I'm saying? It's weighing.
You can share my testimony. You can share.
I don't share.
Well,
it's up to you.
I can tell my testimony of encountering Val and the PLT massage. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I came, I said, I'm not coming back up in here. And you didn't, I told you that. You trying to kill me up in here. That's how I felt. But truth be told, when I came, I was 40 pounds heavier. I was 40 pounds heavier. I weighed 240 pounds. I weigh 198 pounds today.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is amazing. I haven't changed my diet. I haven't changed. It was just the whole entire thing of releasing trauma. Something I didn't think that I've been through my healing processes, but I had so many issues in my body still. And I'm like, Val trying to kill me. She's trying to kill me. You know, but I made up in my mind, this is a journey that I'm on of healing. I want everything about me whole, even my physical. And I know I struggle, because I know when I get frustrated, I eat. When I get irritated, I eat. When I get anxiety, I eat. And it all ties back to the trauma that happened to you as a child. And I had to, and Val taught me that, and I was learning that, and I'm like, this is real. And so now it's like your whole entire mindset has changed, you know. And I'm like, my goal is 175, so I'm like, next year I'm gonna have my.
When she came and she said to me, oh, this is so funny. Came out, washed my hands, walked around, but didn't come back the way that you was, because it's a square. And so I walked around the other way, and I get a call on my phone, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done to this woman now? And I'm thinking she's going to tell me that, Valerie, look what you've just done. And I get into the room and I see, look what I can do. Yeah. And she was, I thought, wow.
I was doing sit-ups.
She was doing sit-ups.
And I didn't need any help. I wasn't breathing hard. I was just sitting up by myself, sitting up by myself. And a lot of other things I shared personal that happened. And I was just, and honestly, I came because I said, well, you know what, I might as well go for the auto accident, you know. But and she was like, Lavinia, you have a lot of still trauma in your body. And I'm like, yeah, it'll be all right. But it's like I had to shift my mindset, you know, and I had to just go through it. And it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was painful. But painful. Anything that's worth fighting for, anything that's worth healing, anything you want whole, sometimes you got to put in your blood, sweat, and tears. It's just like here I am with the Lavinia Masters Act. It was painful. It was painful to go through 20-something years of not knowing any answers, and then almost another 20 years to finally get some sort of resolution. So I'm not going to stop. I'm like, I've come this far, Lord. Why would I stop now? I want absolutely everything about me. I want, when I speak to people, I want to be transparent. I want to be honest. I want to be truth about it. I don't want to, I'm not going to say, you know, false hope. I ain't no Benny Hinn. I'm not going to blow on you, puff you here with my coat, and make you think everything is going to change. It's painful.
It is.
And, you know, and I'm like, so I've already been through the pain of being a victim of sexual violence. I've been through the pain of being disregarded as a victim of sexual violence. I've been through the pain of not having anybody regarding me and trying to help me and give me resources as a victim of sexual violence. You know what? I'm going to go through the pain to be a victor of sexual violence. And that's where I stand with this. And so I get excited about it. And I know I probably got all off topic and everything.
Okay, you're good.
I probably got all off topic. But another thing I wanted to say when you made a statement a while ago, is this here. To any parents that's listening, to any guardians that's listening, and you were, and I'm not condemning you, because I'm telling you, I understand a lot of parents have been through trauma themselves, and they never really dealt with it, they never really processed it, and they did things the best way they thought they could for their families or their children or the children they were watching after. But if you could just take that moment, I don't care if your child, if you're 75 and your child is 45, and if you can just, in some kind of way, allow that child, that inner child, that's still really wanting that healing from you, to say, I am sorry if you felt I never protected you, if you felt I was not there for you, if you felt I put you in harm's way. Because even though those things you think they don't remember, they remember.
They do.
they remember. And it may not come back all at one time. It may come back over the years. But being accountable is huge.
That's right.
It's very huge. My mom, my last 10 years before she passed, and I learned some of the stuff as a childhood, I had forgot. But it started coming back when I started my healing and doing the work. And in her own way, she apologized. She cried to me because I had never got frustrated with her, but I got frustrated. And it was simple with her moving to Houston and not telling me and telling my younger sister. And when she cried to me, my grandmother came to me first in a vision, and she was like, Bertha, because I'm named after her, she said, your mama just wants to be loved. I'm like, I love her, you know, but I had frustration, you know, with my love because I felt I was not getting everything that I wanted. And I wanted her to admit, you know, that you knew what happened to me. And I know it didn't seem like a big deal, but I just wanted that accountability. And she did just that in the end. She was like, I'm sorry if I ever did you wrong, you felt I ever did. She didn't have to go into details, but I knew. My spirit was settled. And I think we need to give that back to our young people, give that back to our loved ones, and help heal them so they can want to take the steps that I took and that I'm still taking to be completely whole. You know, and that's what I want. And that's what I want others to do. And that's what the Lavinia Masters Act stands for when you think of my name.
You said an important word there, love.
Yes.
Many of our parents didn't have love.
They didn't.
They don't even know how to love. They don't even know how to show love. So a lot of times their anger is not because they're angry.
Yes.
It's just that they don't know.
They don't know how.
Because remember, a lot of them came from the slavery.
Yeah.
And so they was they never had that love from a mother or father. They, all they saw was the beating.
Yes.
They saw the hurt. They saw a lot of bruising that took place in their lives, and they instilled that and brought it from slavery right through till today.
That part.
And that's why you have got to do a cut-off. If you have got a child out there, just hold that child, tell that child, you know what, I love you. If you've got a sibling, why don't you just go and give them a hug and just let them know that what it feels like to be held, what it feels like to be hugged.
Yes.
Because a lot of time we don't want to hug, we don't want to show our emotions, we want to feel everything must be swept under the carpet, or suck it up, right? What a guy, why are you crying? You're a man, you shouldn't be crying.
Right.
But you know, men cry too. Men cry too.
And they hurt.
You know what I mean? And
they struggle.
And that's why a lot of abuse happen with the man, because they don't know the fighting back.
And some of them will never tell. You think it's bad that women don't tell? Some men will never tell.
Trust me, I see it. I see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I see the hurt and the pain. And I see the husband coming in, the wife coming in. The husband is hurting, but because the wife is talking, he's not letting her know how he's really feeling. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot to trauma and a lot to pain, and there's a lot to rape and a lot to so many things that's going on in our community right now that we need a change, we need a shift, we need to turn around and say enough is enough.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You know what I mean? Miss Lavinia, we are coming to the end of our show.
Already?
I know you've all seen that. I've got my phone in my hand. I've got it in my hand for a reason, but you will all know later on why I kept my phone in my possession. Usually I wouldn't have it, but there's an important reason why Valerie's got a phone in her hands today. But Lavinia, before we let you go, and this was awesome talking to you about the rape kit of Lavinia Masters Act of 2019. The first black woman. Anybody else out there who's doing a rape kit, remember, right? Anything that comes after Lavinia, that means it was taken from Lavinia. Lavinia started the race, and she's going to keep running this race because she's not doing it for her. She's doing it for your children, your grandchildren. She's doing it for the foreparents. She's doing it for all the people who have been molested, who have been raped, who have been ignored, who people don't want to believe, who are going through something right now, who can't sleep at night. I can go on and on and on about about rape and abuse and all the rest of it, because it all comes hand in hand.
Yes, it does.
You know what I mean? So Lavinia, we have to take our hats off to her, because at the end of the day, she didn't have to do this. And if you don't even want to support and you want to go and support somebody else, that's fine. But remember, who started the act first? It was Lavinia B. Masters. Lavinia B Masters 2019. Hashtag Lavinia B Masters. That's what you all need to be doing right now. Everybody hashtag Lavinia B Masters, because at the end of the day, when you hashtag Lavinia B Masters, that means you're letting her know it's just like the Me Too, you too.
Yeah, yeah.
Me Too, you too. Lavinia B Masters. Let's hashtag Lavinia B Masters. That's what we all need to be doing. Is there a website anywhere where people want to contact you that they can contact?
Yes,
Before we say that, I'm letting you know that this woman comes at a cost. Right, so don't think, oh, because you see her on my show, you're going to turn around and say, oh, well, can you come to my event and come and speak? Remember, at the end of the day, what she's doing costs money. Everything in life costs money, so I'm plugging you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you can tell them where they can get you, your fees, if you want to even put your fees, or they can find that on your website, but I'm plugging you because at the end of the day, there are thousands of women and young men who have gone through what you've gone through.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, my website, thank you, Val, is LaviniaMasters.com. Simple. L-A-V like victory, I-N-I-A masters.com. Or my email is laviniamasters@gmail.com. And I don't have my fees on there. Don't hit me. But I am flexible. I don't like to deny. But like she said, it does. Ministry comes with a cost, and that's serving others. I don't mind serving. I don't just speak about sexual violence. I speak about empowering. I do motivational. I do everything. I tie my story into it because I need you to understand that no matter what your pain was, I don't care if it was sexual violence, domestic violence, sex trafficking, death of a loved one, loss of job, whatever it was, that you can find purpose beyond your pain. You can find purpose within that pain. So this is what I do. This is how I do it. And like I said, I don't do the hype. I don't do the all the madness that go with it. I am genuine. I am real. I know a lot of people don't accept that, don't believe people are that way, but I am. I lived a life for far too long as a victim, and that's what we do. When we live as victims, we live a life of a lie, you know, because we wear a mask and we pretend that we're something we're not, or we feel a certain way and we really don't feel that way. I don't mind being transparent. Anybody that's my friend publicly on Facebook, I have my advocate page, but if you're my direct friend, you may see, oh, she's having a bad day today. I mean, because it is what it is. Every day is not going to be the best as a survivor. Just life, period. Life doesn't stop. Trauma doesn't stop because you've got this issue. It got more for you coming. But anyway, those are my website. That's how you reach out to me. I pray that someone is helped, blessed from sharing and encountering me. I love speaking to our young folks because I was a young person when these things happened to me. And I also love speaking to my men 50 and older because I think we're forgetting about you. So more to come on that as well, as me and Val shared. But I just need us to get in the mindset. We're going to talk about rape. We're going to talk about sexual violence. We're going to make this everyday conversation. We're not going to clam up, shame up. We can't talk about this. That's too sensitive. Don't say essay to me. I thought you were speaking in Spanish. You know, I was essay. Sexual. No, baby. You were sexually assaulted. It's okay.
That's right.
You know, let's call it what it is. Don't minimize it. You know, because that's what happened. That's how we get back into that corner again. You know, that taboo. It's not a taboo. It's what happens right now as we speak. What, 1 in every 4 women, 1 in every 26 men are being violated, raped right now as we speak. So I'm not gonna make it look pretty for you.
Just because it said 1 in 26, that's just a
statistic. That's their statistic of what's reported.
That's right.
Right.
You know,
so what is not reported? Right. Exactly.
So
how many men you know are running around telling you know I was raped? No,
they're not.
No.
And then when you see things are happening and the guys don't want to be with women and all the rest of it, you have to ask yourself
what happened?
What happened to that? What trauma did they experience?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Lavinia, there's one question I'm going to ask you. What does Don't Believe the Hype mean?
Don't Believe the Hype is basically what it is. Don't believe all the shiny lights, the fireworks and everything when it comes to talking about things of sexual violence and domestic violence. Find out what the real deal is. Get to the nitty-gritty of it. It's real. Trauma is real. trauma affects us all differently, but it's real. It has no face, it has no smell, it has no color, but baby, it will take you out if you allow it to. It's real. So don't believe the hype. When you tell it, oh, I'm okay, you'll be okay, don't worry about it, don't talk about it, don't do that. Don't do that. So that's what don't believe the hype means to me, and that's what Val gives to me and her other clients that she encountered to me on her show. She just keeps it real with you. Sometimes you know what they say, the truth hurts.
And
but it heals.
That's right.
But it heals.
That's right.
So I love the truth because I love healing. Healing is the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
And from what I've gone through,
yes.
I know I don't look like what I've gone
yes.
through because my dad always said, hold your head up high.
Yes, ma'am.
But sometimes even in the quietness, things start replaying in my mind.
Yes.
But I have to thank God every single day.
Yes.
I can go to Him.
Yes.
I can say, God, thank you for just keeping me. Even when I'm massaging, I have to keep on going back to God because He became my best friend when I was going through all my trauma. Because sometimes you can't even go to your own family member and let them know what's really happening.
Yeah.
So, find that peace, find someone that you can confide in. For me, it's my God.
Yeah.
Right? And I know you might be thinking, well, what about your boyfriend or whatever? It's not everything that you need to let them know because sometimes people can throw things back in your face if they know something about you. You understand what I'm saying?
I know.
And so
I know.
Find God because at the end of the day, once you've got God, you've got everything.
And I'm telling you, before I really dove into my faith in God and finding that peace, I couldn't speak it, the things that happened. But now that I have it, I can actually articulate that piece. And that's the difference between speaking and actually articulating it. And that means so much to me. It means so much to me because it shows me how good God really is to us and how He can fine-tune things with us.
That's right.
And that process that's scary and that we don't know how to go or walk that path, it's like, don't worry about it, just trust me and trust the process. And I'm telling you, what you couldn't speak before, you're going to be able to articulate it later.
And that's what I'm starting to even find with myself.
Yes.
I'm starting to find me.
Yes.
Actually, I'm not starting. I've already found me.
Yeah.
And
you starting to love her more. That's what I do. I'm like, I'm crazy about this chick. She pretty bad.
And if I don't even want to talk, just leave me alone. Just leave me. You don't have to talk all the time. Sometimes you just will need that quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
Quiet time.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Because when I find that quiet time, that's when I'm communing with God. But I don't want, oh, you're okay. No, you just leave me. When I'm ready to come out, I'll come out, you know what I mean? And that's how I am. I just sometimes
listen to you.
I've got to listen to me, and when I have to back off, I know why I'm
because that's how I learned what was still bothering me, what was still hurting in me. This healing is like perpetual, and it's like, okay, now you got to work on this part. I'm like, okay, Lord, so let me deal with that. It may not take a month, it may take another 10 years on that part. But I got to go back in my quiet place. Well, while you're working on this, I need you to work on this.
That's right.
That's too much, Lord. No. I need you to listen to me. I got you. It's like those conversations.
It is.
So it's like you got to fine tune. You got to be quiet. You got to listen.
That's right. It's like a clock. Some clocks are loud. And some clocks are quiet. But looking at the back of the clock, there's a lot of little parts that makes up that clock. And sometimes that trauma makes up the whole complete body. You know what I mean? It might be your foot, it might be your arm, it might be your back, it might be, but all of it works together for those who love the Lord.
For the good, though. And something else before we go. Don't try to be like somebody else. Your healing is what God allows you to go through. You may not look like Lavinia. Lavinia got a big mouth. Lavinia don't mind saying what she want to say, how she gonna say it. I may not have a lot of fans. I'm cool with that. But what you're going to go through, because I used to worry about, I got to be proper, I got to be this, I got to look a certain way, I got to, if I'm, that ain't me. If I want to say,
that's me.
If I want to be country, if I want to show my ghetto side, if I want to show my corporate side, my pastor's wife side, all of that is me. And that's who I'm proud of. So I'm like, no, because if I'm trying to be something I'm not, I'm still living that victim mentality. I'm living a lie. My mask are gone. They're destroyed.
I'm me. Okay.
So I'm
I
gonna
like to
be
be quiet.
Yeah, you're different, and I
me.
like that. And they used to
that's
bother
how I
me
am.
about people. I'm like, she's so quiet. I can't go over here being loud. I'm like, look, I'm loud. So.
But that's okay. That's okay. You know, I mean, it doesn't bother
But
me.
I'm down to business when it's time for my business to get taken care
That's
of.
right.
And that's how I am. But in the interim, if you can't deal with the fun, loving, joy, because the joy of the Lord is my strength. And that's what I learned. And I take that literal. You know, his joy that I have, I'm like, this is my strength. I have to laugh. I can't stay focused on the negative and the things that happen bad to me. I have to remain joyous. He brings me joy.
And it's funny because this morning I was still feeling a little bit from my brother passing. And my first client, she was here at 8:45, and I was here, she was on my table. And by the time I finished, she was a dentist and she had to go to work.
Yeah.
Because she owns her own business. So sometimes I come in early, and I was talking to her and I says, I can't do all that screwing in of the teeth. I need to eat food. I can't be called like this, because when she first started laughing, and just seeing that laughing at that young girl's face made me start laughing.
Yeah.
I said, no, I can't do the screwing false
Yeah.
teeth. 6 months with no food. I don't look like a soup person to you. And that just brightened my day. And I said, you know what? You have just changed my day. And that's what I told this young lady. You changed my day today. Because I've not really laughed all week, and you just brought some joy into my life just
And
by
we need that.
and we all need to laugh, you know what I mean? I said something stupid and she laughed out, and then I laughed out, and sometimes you just need to laugh. And that's why when most people come in my room, I'll make a stupid joke. I don't even know.
I'll sing a song.
Okay,
I was like, where is the tone that Val hears? I'm like, oh, that's what you're singing?
I know I can't sing, but you know what? But
It keeps me laughing.
But when I'm walking in, don't laugh after me, Janice. Even Janice is right there laughing. Remember when I was in church and I was laughing at church? And the choir, people in the choir, I thought I was going to join the church choir.
Okay, you want me to do my goofy laugh.
And I saw everybody looking at me, what can you sing? And I was singing that because I love singing. But I know I can't sing. I ain't going to shout it out nobody. God's giving me my own special key. And everybody looked at me. That was the last time I went back in that choir. I've never sung.
It's okay.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody looked like, huh?
I love to hear it. I mean, because it gives me good belly laughs. I'm like, there she go again.
It's nice, but English. I'm going to put it down to my English. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in to the Don't Believe the Hype Show. Thank you, Lavinia, for coming on to our show.
Yes.
And I will see you all in 2 weeks, and I will explain later on why I had my phone in my lap. You will all know, because I'm still down, but I'm just so happy for what's going to get ready to take place in my life. And I have to thank God every single day, because without Him, I wouldn't even be here.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you all for tuning in to the Don't Believe the Hype Show, and I will see you all. And thank you, Lavinia, and thank you for Janice for laughing after me once again. I know I'm the butt of everybody's joke. That's why you see my butt is big. Anyway, thank you all.
It was fun. Thank you, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Reviews and more.
Join host Valerie Kelso and guests from 6:30 p.m. Thursdays fortnightly.
Don't Believe the Hype Show. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Don't Believe the Hype Show.
Every Thursday fortnightly.
For news, views, reviews, and more.
Join host Valerie Kelso and guests from 6:30 p.m. Thursdays fortnightly.
Don't Believe the Hype Show. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Don't Believe the Hype Show.
Every Thursday fortnightly.
For news, views, reviews, and more.
Join host Valerie Kelso and guests from 6:30 p.m. Thursdays fortnightly.